The movie starts in a beautiful garden with lots of different plants. It's a park filled with happy families, and one of them is Indy Zimmerman, a kind girl who loves making others happy. It's her birthday, and all the kids are having fun with her. Indy talks about how her life has always been joyful because of her mom. Her mother is everything to her. They all have a good time in the park, and her mom even gives her a cute kitten as a birthday gift. Indy's 8th birthday is perfect, and her mom makes sure everything is just right. Her dad left before she was born, so it was just Indy and her mom. But when Indy is 10, her mother suddenly dies. This is the first time Indy experiences real sadness. Her life changes completely. She has to move in with her uncle and aunt, who don't show her much love. They only give her the basics and even insult her mom in the funeral. Indy can't speak up, so she keeps quiet and tries to accept the situation. She falls asleep on a dirty mattress, tired from all the work. Years later, Indy is older. Her cat is still with her, and she loves it more than anything. She wakes up to make breakfast for everyone. Her cousins are spoiled, and her aunt just encourages them. One day, her cousin throws a broken phone away, and Indy keeps it. She's so happy to finally have a phone of her own. Indy has a typical high school life surrounded by cliques. One of the popular boys, Bryant, annoys her, but her cousins love him. At lunch, Indy eats alone while they go out for fast food. Her aunt treats her poorly, but Indy doesn't let it bother her. She has a good friend, Maxton, who helps her get through the tough times. One day, tragedy strikes when Indy's cat, Ms. Wiggins, runs into the road and gets hit by a car. The car is driven by Bryant, and Indy is heartbroken. He apologizes, but her cousins laugh at her grief. At school, Bryant tries to talk to her, but Indy ignores him. During gym class, Bryant helps her after she falls, and she snaps at him, telling him that he never noticed her before the accident. She asks him to leave her alone. Afterward, Bryant feels guilty, but doesn't know how to make things right. At home, Bryant talks to his dad about Indy, and it turns out that his dad knew Indy's mother before she died. Bryant decides to apologize to Indy. The next day, Indy gets really sick and can't do her chores. Her aunt yells at her, but when she sees how sick Indy is, she just leaves her alone. Bryant goes to Indy's house to check on her and meets her aunt. Indy is confused by how nice her aunt is suddenly. Bryant brings gifts and apologizes for running over her cat. He asks if they can be friends, but Indy tells him she doesn't want pity friends. She wants real friends. Bryant understands and promises to start fresh. The two talk, and Indy admits that she still misses her mother a lot. Bryant shares a story about how his dad was the last person to see Indy's mother before she passed away. Dr. Bailey held her hand and promised to tell Indy that her mother's real name was Cindy and that she loved her very much. Indy is touched by this and thanks Bryant and his dad. She shares that her full name is Cindy Ella, and her mom used to call her Cinderella. Bryant and Indy spend hours talking and walking in the park, comforting each other. Bryant tells Indy that even though life is hard, it helps you learn and grow stronger. Indy shares that she stays in her small room because her aunt and uncle don't treat her well. Bryant realizes how badly she's treated and feels guilty. One day, Bryant goes to Indy's house, but when her cousins show up, they ignore Indy and cling to him. Indy does all the chores for her cousin Jada's party, but she's not invited. She doesn't care and keeps working. Later, Bryant comes to find her, but Jada and Caitlin continue to ignore her. Indy goes outside to get some fresh air, and Bryant follows her. They talk more about their painful pasts, and Indy realizes that they both understand each other. They go out for a meal together, and Indy opens up about her struggles. She learns that Bryant's mother died too, and they bond over their shared grief. Indy and Bryant have an interesting conversation, where Bryant shares that his mother always encouraged him to follow his dreams. Indy connects with this, saying that she feels the same way. Bryant smiles and suggests that they should hang out more often. He adds that he wants to get to know her better and eventually start a relationship. Indy becomes anxious, asking him to slow down since they don't know each other well enough yet. Bryant agrees to take it slow but promises not to give up. He's okay with just being friends for now. Indy admits that although she likes the idea of being friends, there's a problem. Clarisse, a significant person in her life, would be furious if she found out Indy was even considering a relationship, especially with someone like Bryant. Bryant suggests sneaking around to meet secretly, but Indy jokingly says he might be better off dating one of her cousins instead. Bryant laughs, saying he finds them annoying and isn't interested in them at all. They both laugh and have a great evening together. After dropping Indy home, Bryant asks her on a date, but she hesitates. She explains that they're from two completely different worlds and that she doesn't fit in with his life. However, Bryant is determined and tells her that he really likes her. Indy, feeling conflicted, rejects him, saying he's not her type. Bryant isn't convinced and presses her, leading Indy to admit that if their relationship became public, people like Clarisse and her friends would make her life miserable. Bryant, understanding but still hopeful, suggests they keep their friendship a secret for now and see where it leads. Indy agrees. The next day, Indy feels her emotions shifting as she starts to develop feelings for Bryant. However, Maxton, a close friend of hers, notices her behavior and presses her for answers. Indy decides to confide in him, asking him to keep it a secret. She explains that Bryant likes her, and though it's surprising, it's true. Maxton is shocked and even more surprised when he realizes Indy has never had a boyfriend before. He assumes that she's already dating someone else, and when Indy asks why he never made a move before, Maxton confesses that he has liked her all along, but never pursued it because she didn't seem ready for a relationship. Indy feels a mix of guilt and confusion. She reassures Maxton that she only sees him as a best friend, but he takes it in stride, admitting that he always thought their bond was special. He tells her he wants to make it official, and in a moment of surprise, he kisses her. Indy is taken aback and uncertain but agrees to go on a date with him to see where it goes. She doesn't want to hurt his feelings. At home, Indy talks to Bryant about her situation with Maxton. Bryant is taken aback when she reveals that Maxton kissed her, but he supports Indy's decision to explore her feelings, even if it means seeing how things go with Maxton. He tells her that if she's not ready for a relationship with him, he'll accept it and remain friends. The following day, Maxton and Indy go on their first date. It's awkward, but they enjoy each other's company. Maxton admits that he's made sacrifices for her, and now Indy realizes just how much he cares. She starts to feel guilty, especially when he confesses that he wants her to care for him the same way. Meanwhile, at home, Clarisse begins to question Indy about where she's been and if she kissed Maxton. Indy is honest and says she did, but it was just a small kiss. Clarisse reacts angrily and Indy stands up for herself, defending her choices and her mother, who has been mistreated by Clarisse and others. The confrontation leaves Indy feeling emotionally drained and overwhelmed. That night, as she cries in her room, Bryant texts her, asking if she's okay. Indy lies to him, saying she's fine. But when Maxton calls, she breaks down, telling him about everything that's happened. Maxton suggests giving Clarisse and David some time, but Indy can't help but feel the weight of everything she's dealing with. As she looks at Bryant's message, she decides to respond quickly. The next day, Dr. Bailey tells Indy that her mom left her a huge inheritance. Indy is shocked because she never knew about it. It turns out that her Aunt Clarisse and Uncle David took everything, including the inheritance, after selling all of her mother's things. The good news is that Indy will be getting the inheritance back, plus some extra money as compensation. Clarisse and David are now in serious trouble. Indy sits by the pool trying to understand everything when Bryant comes over. She tells him how cruel her aunt and uncle were and that she never wants to see them again. With the school year almost over, Indy is happy she won't have to deal with Jada either. Then, Bryant asks Indy to go to prom with him. Indy is unsure at first, but agrees. She worries her cousins might be mad, but Bryant tells her to stop worrying about what they think. Indy is surprised someone would ask her to prom and feels excited about it. Right then, Maxton walks up to Indy. He asks if she's okay, and she says she is. Maxton tells her that Bryant is perfect for her. He says he's always been too scared to ask her out, but now regrets it. He adds that she's the reason for his happiness and doesn't want to lose her. Maxton admits he didn't know what Indy wanted in life, but now it's too late. Indy explains her case and how Dr. Bailey helped her a lot. Maxton says he's happy for her even though it's not with him. Indy feels guilty and apologizes, but Maxton tells her not to. It's not her fault she likes Bryant. Indy asks Maxton to stay friends, and he agrees. They hug, and he says goodbye. Indy feels happy knowing everything will be okay. Dr. Bailey helps her win the case, and she gets her inheritance back along with a large amount of money. Indy knows her future is bright. She buys a car and a beautiful dress with some of the money. Indy and Bryant are now dating. and she moves into a new house to be closer to him. She's excited to go to prom with Bryant in her gorgeous dress. At prom, Bryant is amazed by how beautiful Indy looks, and they take a family photo together. They kiss, and everything feels perfect. Indy is grateful for her new family, and Bryant gives her a cute kitten to celebrate the new chapter in her life. The movie ends with them as a happy family.